Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Furucombo lending workshop. So I think we can get right into it. If you have any questions at all as we go through things, feel free to post it in the voice lobby or in the lobby channel, and I will get to it. So this workshop is going to be around kind of the largest lending platforms. We do support these lending platforms on Furucombo, so I'll talk about, how are you going to determine which platform you want to use? What are some things you need to look out for, and then how can you do these or perform these lending actions on Furucombo. So the largest one right now is MakerDAO, and that's not shown here in terms of TVL for whatever reason on DeFi Llama. But the second one is Aave, and then the third one we're going to be talking about, which is available on Furucombo, is Compound Finance. So those are the three we're going to touch on. Most of these other protocols are forks of one of those three, mainly Aave or Compound, um, and they're only available on certain chains. So we won't touch on those, but we'll kind of touch on the main idea behind all the forks. So as I mentioned, we'll talk about Aave, Compound, and MakerDAO because they're the three main ones, and they are all available on Furucombo. So Aave, if you're unfamiliar, they are around just under 5 billion in TVL or total value locked, and they are available on 7 chains, although 5 have liquidity on them. So the 5 that are being used, mainly Ethereum, Avalanche comes in second, Polygon third, Optimism and Arbitrum in fourth, fifth, and there's a little bit of liquidity on Phantom, and then they are available on Harmony, but they don't yet have any TVL there. So as I mentioned, they're the second highest TVL protocol, and they're very safe. So you shouldn't feel, that you're being put in risk by using any of these platforms. Of course, you need to be aware that there is a smart contract risk, but there are typically for these blue chips, there's insurance protocols in place, and there's a very big reserve fund to, reimburse in the event of a hack. You're not 100% safe like any DeFi protocol, but they're as safe as it's going to get. So the premise behind Aave is that you can earn interest from supplying assets and you can borrow from your collateral. And this, of course, requires you to manage your position to avoid liquidation. All of these platforms will have that feature or consideration. So I just kind of charted the assets that are available. There's quite a bit on each of the chains. These are sorted by APY. So if you supply the assets on the left, you're going to get some APY return. If you borrow the assets on the right, you're going to have to pay some fee. So that depends on if you want it to be stable or variable. Of course, like mortgages and borrowing and everything else, the variable rate is going to be lower. But if that can fluctuate, of course, and then it can end up being higher. So you need to take also that into consideration. But I'd say variable is pretty good if you're going to be actively managing it, because if you notice that the variable rate is starting to increase, you can of course switch your position. You're not locked into these. Additionally, you can see. Let me just switch over. Let's see if I'm okay. Perfect. So you can see the data as well on Furucombo here. So for example, if I deposit on Ethereum on Aave, we can see the APY there. And then you can see your max loan to value ratio. So if I deposit Link into Aave, I'm going to get, in this case, very minuscule APY, but I can borrow up to 50% of my loan value. Now you also need to be aware of the liquidation ratio and what percentage you're going to get liquidated at. But yeah, so in this case, 2.17 for DAI, 64% max loan to value ratio. So you can basically determine, okay, so Aave's on 5 chains, basically, where can I get the most from my asset? And the interesting thing is when you borrow, you can, of course, it's free to use for you. You can do whatever you want with the borrowed funds. So you can transfer it off that chain if you just want to find a chain that's cheaper to borrow and maybe has a high supply ratio of the asset you're looking to supply. So 2.47 for USDT is decent on Ethereum. Um, and then here's AVAX or Avalanche. So again, it's up to you which network you want to supply on. It looks like AVAX is supplying some Avalanche tokens as well to help bump up some of the supply rates. And they do give a bit back on the borrow rates as well. So these borrow rates are a little bit smaller because this is going to be 5.9 minus 1.3. So that's also something to consider there. So yeah, I just included all the markets here, but you can kind of determine which one you want to go off of. 2.94% to supply on Optimism. So again, you can supply, if you are looking to borrow from that, you'll have to consider both the supply and the borrow ratios. Yeah, 7.89 from Balancer. So say we're interested in the in the Balancer here on Polygon. I will just go over to Furucombo here. I'll switch to Polygon. I'll go to deposit and Balancer. Okay, so now I can see here the max loan to value ratio. So although the APY is quite good, it's only a 20% loan to value ratio. So maybe you're just holding Balancer tokens in your wallet. That's going to be a good option for you to earn some additional, bonus off those tokens if they're just sitting there. So yeah, you can determine you can go to Aave to determine what the supply and borrow ratio is, or you can do it right from Furucombo. And then again, you can see the loan to value ratio of the asset on Furucombo, or you can check out the risk parameters. But that's going to be important for you to decide which asset you're going to supply and which one you're going to borrow if you're going to borrow. I couldn't find, excuse me, I couldn't find an up to date chart on the risk parameters, but there is this one. It appears a little outdated as the loan to value ratios have changed a bit, but that's just something to be aware of. So that's Aave. We'll kind of get into the strategies that you can do on any of these lending platforms at the end, but I just want to give a brief overview of what these are. So Compound is available right now on Ethereum. I put N Polygon because they are launched on Polygon, although as you can see in the bottom right, the TVL on Polygon is not very sufficient. So it's mainly on Ethereum and it's got 1.87 billion TVL. So you can deposit USDC and Ethereum on Compound V3, and you can deposit and loan up to 17 tokens on Compound V2. So like Aave, you earn interest on deposits and you can loan up to 75% of your collateral. Also, like Aave, it requires you to manage your position so you don't get liquidated. So here's what the interface looks like. It's paying 2.09 plus the 1.23% in Compound tokens if you supply to Compound. And if you plan on borrowing, it's at 4.81%. So this changes based on the utilization rate. So as it gets close to max utilization, the earned distribution is going to go higher. The interesting thing, or where they got the name, I presume from Compound, is these tokens are, I don't know if the right name is rebase, but you're going to be getting an increased amount on your C token as the distribution's coming out. So if you started with 50, after a week you might have 50.02 or something like that. So it's continually compounding on itself. And I don't know if they include the compounding rate in their earn APR. But yeah, because you are going to get a little bit higher rewards from compounding interest. So these are the two main assets, as I mentioned, on Ethereum, Compound V3, USDC, and Ethereum. Again, it looks like Ethereum utilization rate is a bit higher, probably because you could borrow this and deposit into ST or some liquid staking protocol like Lido or Rocket Pool and get some APR, probably higher than 4.81. I think it's about 5% right now, so it's close to parity, but that's likely what people are doing there. Um, Again, you could borrow USDC and you could swap that to ETH as well. So yeah, so that's Compound. And then the final one we'll touch on is MakerDAO. So they have 7 billion in TVL and they're only on Ethereum right now. So you can create a vault by depositing Ethereum, and from that Ethereum vault you can borrow DAI. So that was DAI is a stablecoin. So that was the original vault. They have lots and lots of different vaults now with different tokens. They have a lot of Uniswap um, liquidity pools or farming pool tokens that you can deposit. You can earn interest just by holding that token, such as a curve token, and then you can borrow off of your deposit. So you can get interest from your curve token, plus you can use that to borrow DAI. So there's quite a few options. For the most part, Maker's going to be over collateralized. I mean, in every case, basically. So if you, for example, open an Ethereum vault for 50,000, you might only be able to borrow 20,000 DAI. So additionally, in order to borrow DAI from a vault, you typically have to have a pretty large position. So if you only have 500,000 bucks to play with, you're not really going to be able to open a Maker vault and borrow DAI from that. So again, it also requires you to manage your position so you don't get liquidated. So I just these are the most famous or I guess trending Maker vaults. So as on the bottom left there, you can see if you want to open that vault, it's going to charge you a 0.5% annual fee, and your collateral ratio has to be 170%. So you're only going to be able to, you know, loan say about 30,000 off of 100,000, give or take. And then there's a BTC vault, and then as I mentioned, you're good on the right there with the curve V1 ETH staked ETH LP. So that's going to be ETH and then staked ETH. That's going to give you the staking rewards from that curve pool. Plus, you can borrow off that collateral asset. So that's interesting because if you just put your ETH into Maker, you may be able to borrow from it, but this way you can actually, earn some reward from that token plus borrow from that asset. So this is something they added recently, or more recently, anyways. But that is kind of the summary of Maker. So then, how can we use Furucombo to do this stuff? So for Aave, for example, you can, and I think some of the terminology is a bit different from Maker or Compound, but it's basically the same. You're going to have deposit, withdraw, borrow, repay, and for Aave, there's going to be the flash loan function. So Aave flash loan you could use for all of the lending protocols, which gives you some interesting options. So the first one we're going to look at is deposit and borrow. You can do collateral swap, you can do debt swap, you can do self liquidation, you can do leverage long position, and you can do leverage short position. So what does that look like then? So on Furucombo, you can deposit and borrow, and you can execute this in one transaction. So for example, if I make a deposit to Aave, or in this case, Geist, which is just Aave fork on Phantom, I make my deposit of my tokens, and then I add what's called a return funds cube. So there's add funds and there's return funds utility cubes. The return funds will return it to your wallet so that the contract knows that you have those tokens and you can borrow from that asset within one transaction. So it's easiest just to follow. If you're unsure when to use the add funds, return funds, what I like to do is I just like to follow the formula. So in this case, look up deposit and borrow. you're always going to have a deposit, you're always going to return the funds, and then you can always borrow from that. So of course you can only borrow up to some loan to value ratio. So I know a lot of people try to borrow more than they can based on the loan to value ratio, and then the transaction fails for them or they can't figure it out. So always double check that. Of course, if you loan too high, you have the risk of getting liquidated as well. So just be aware of that. But yeah, the formula is deposit, return funds, and then borrow. And then at the end of the transaction, you'll have deposited your funds into the lending protocol and borrowed those assets. So I'll just pop over to Furucombo here. And that's going to apply to Aave v3, v2. I'll switch over to Ethereum. And then compound, you're going to have the supply, withdraw, repay. So in this case, it would be supply. And then maker, you could do new vault, and then you could generate. So new vault, and then generate from that. So the next one we're going to look at is collateral swap. So what collateral swap is basically, so if you deposit into a lending protocol, that's going to be your collateral that you're borrowing off of. So the collateral swap allows you to take a flash loan and deposit a new collateral, and then you can withdraw your old collateral position and you can sell that off to pay back the flash loan. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to switch your collateral without paying back your debt or adding more collateral before you switch it. So this uses the power of flash loans. So in this case, you want to take a flash loan. You may have to swap the token to the deposit you want to make. You need to deposit those funds into Aave or Geist in this example. You need to return that G token or A token back to your wallet. And then you need to add the funds of your original position, your original collateral to the contract. And then you can withdraw that original position and pay back your flash loan. So if you don't use flash loan in this case, you're either going to have to pay back your debt or you're going to have to add more collateral upfront. So this allows you to swap without having upfront funds. So again, just follow the formula. You don't have to do anything fancy. We are going to be introducing an easier way to do this, which I'm super excited about. But for now, yeah, it's easiest just to follow the formula, and it should work for you if you set up the parameters correctly. If you have any problems at all, we're always here in the Discord to help. So the third one is a debt swap. So the debt swap just simply allows you to switch your debt position or what you borrowed on Aave or any of the lending protocols. So in this case, you're going to flash loan. You're going to use that to repay your debt. And then you're going to borrow a new asset, the one you want to borrow, and then you're going to swap it back to pay the flash loan that you borrowed in the original asset to pay back the original debt. So you may want to debt swap because it has the new debt has a lower borrow rate or it has a higher loan to value ratio. Or you think the asset's going to go up or down, or you want to leverage, or whatever the case is. So there's a few options as to why you want a debt swap, why you would want a collateral swap. But Furucombo makes it easy to make these adjustments. So a very powerful one is the self-liquidation. And the powerful thing about this, as I mentioned with the other ones, is there's no upfront funds. So again, with this one, you just follow the formula. So what a self-liquidation allows you to do is to close your position, even if you don't have those funds to pay back your debts. So say I borrowed or say I've deposited, 100 grand into Aave, but I borrowed 75 grand and I got that off chain in a different platform. I don't have liquidity, At 75%, my loan to value ratio is getting close to liquidation, and I'm scared, about that. So I can come to Furucombo. I can take a flash loan. I can use that flash loan to repay the debts. I can add that A token or G token in this case back to the contract, and then I can withdraw the collateral position. And then, so because the collateral position, or because I've deposited 100 grand and I've borrowed 75 grand, my collateral is obviously higher than the borrowed debt. So then I can use that additional funds to pay back the flash loan. So then I'm going to be left with the difference, which is in this case, say 25%. And I've closed my entire position at that point. So that's the power of the flash loan feature. And the self liquidation again can help you against being liquidated or close your position because in a way without requiring any upfront funds. And then the next one is a leverage long position. So in Furucombo, you can, with Aave, with what you borrow, for example, if I deposit ETH, I can borrow USDC, I can take those tokens and I can swap them to ETH, and I can leverage my position off of that. So say the LTV ratio is 70% or 1.7, I can use that 70% borrowed, switch that to ETH, and now I've leveraged myself. So in this example, for you take a flash loan, you deposit that ETH into Aave, you return those funds to your wallet so you can borrow from that asset. You swap that to ETH to pay back the flash loan. And then this is going to give you a leverage long position. Exactly the same on the short position, except you're depositing a stable token, borrowing ETH, and then switching that ETH to USDC to pay back the flash loan. So in this case, you're going short on Ethereum, or you think Ethereum's going to go down, or you just want to hedge your risk, or you want to lower your risk to the market. And so what we added on Furucombo is there's videos, and they're going to be below the functions of the protocol there on the create page. So these position management tutorials, again, it's just gonna go through the recipe here, how to set this up. You can find the recipes here. You can find them from the videos. You can find them in our docs, on our tutorials. And then again, if you're looking at doing these transactions, the easiest way to do it is just to set up based on the formula, and then be considerate of things such as your loan to value ratio, um, ensuring you're using the right add funds or return funds and how those work. But again, just follow the recipe and you should be good on that. And then just ensure your values are within the correct range. So yeah, these can be found on the YouTube. They can be found on the Furu Studio on Discord or on the Create page. And you can apply these strategies to any of the lending protocols, Aave, Maker, or Compound. So if you are looking at doing a collateral swap, you can click the collateral swap button below the Aave there, which I will do. So just click this, and that will take you to the video. And this will show you exactly how to set up the collateral swap using Furucombo and the flash loan function. And that is about it then for this workshop. So everyone who attended will receive the lending workshop OAT. Just see if we have any questions here. And again, we're always available in the Discord. So if you do have further questions once you're setting up your combination, you want to learn more, whatever the case is, reach out to me, or just post a message in the Discord or the Telegram. Discord's better though. I'm more active here, and then I'll be happy to get back to you. So I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that helps you set up your, start getting involved in some DeFi. Start putting some of your assets to work. and utilizing Furucombo to help set that up for you. So again, thanks for being here. We'll get that OET out in the next couple of days, and we'll see you at the next one. Cheers.